All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Sunday with Matt LaMarca. We're coming a little early because we have a 6 o'clock locked 5-game slate in the association. Not quite the craziness, I hope, that we saw last night, Matt, which was just an absolute unmitigated disaster. And in the article that I wrote around 10 a.m. that morning, I wrote that most of that stuff was going to happen too. Not that I want a victory left that, because it's really not, but I was like, this guy's probably going to sit. This guy could sit. If this guy sits, it's going to be a bad, if SGA sits, Morant's not going to be a bad play or a good play. I didn't think he'd get thrown out, but I also didn't think the Thunder would handle their business. How did your night go? My college football carried the day.
I had a solid betting night. I was very heavily invested in the under in Mavericks Cavaliers. I gave that out on the stream actually. And it hit in an overtime game, which is like, that's when you're on the right side. It goes to overtime and you still hit an under.
You still make it.
Feel pretty good. I'm 3-0 on the NFL so far today. That's why I got my smart person glasses on.
Nice.
I'm seeing the ball well at the moment, I think.
That's good to know. Let's see what else we got going on. Well, we're brought to you by No House Advantage. We'll talk about them a little bit. Of course, they are also bringing you NFL Live Before Lock tonight. That's going to kick off at 7:15 with Eric Lindquist and Neil Orfield. So that's pretty fun. We got the DK live finals going on right now. Let's go check in on a live look in at the boss man. He's 27th right now. What did he have? He did have Zay Jones and Prescott, but he was disappointed by Dalton Schultz and Xavier Zonovan Knight. I keep forgetting.
My guy. Yeah, he got hurt a little bit. And unfortunately, Hendershot had the touchdown at tight end for the Cowboys. So a little bit of run bad there, but Zay Jones is going to make up for a lot of that, I think.
Yes, Zay Jones 21% in this contest. So good luck to the boss man. We got four games in action right now, 3, 4, something like that.
4.
So we'll check that out, but we got you guys covered here. A couple other fun things. In addition to No House Advantage sponsoring the show, we also have BetMGM, risk-free $1,000 bet and 2 free months of Stokastic Platinum. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And of course, maybe we'll have some fun with the lineup generator as well. But we're going to get into the games here. We've got 5 of them. Starting off, we have the Golden State Warriors at Toronto. Golden State 6-point underdogs. Why are they underdogs? Well, Steph Curry out for an undetermined amount of time with the shoulder subluxation, his left shoulder. We also have Wiggins is out with an adductor. I think it's a groin issue. You have OG Anunoby, who is out for his 3rd straight game with a hip injury. And then Gary Trent, I believe, was ruled out. This will be the 2nd game he has missed with the quad. And you have Toronto playing tomorrow in Philadelphia. A couple Cameroonians squaring off there in Pascal Siakam and Joel Embiid. Take us through the Dubs. What are we doing with the new look Dubs? What is Mad Wizard, the mad scientist, coach Steve Kerr going to do with the new hand he's been dealt, and 2 cards have been pulled back from his hand?
I think pray is the first thing I would do if I was Steve Kerr in this situation. I mean, the chess moves are pretty simple, right? I mean, it's just kind of Jordan Poole goes in for Steph Curry at this point. The problem is that is a really, really big downgrade. I have concerns that the Warriors are going to get blown out basically every time they play a game without Steph. They have a net rating of negative 12.5 points per 100 possessions with Curry off the floor this season. So, they're a tough team to look for. Jordan Poole is now priced up at 7,900. Not particularly appealing to me at that price tag. Dante DiVincenzo, I think you can still look to him potentially for some value at 6,100. He's been playing really well for the team, particularly rebounding the ball very well of late. So he has some appeal, I think, at 6,100. But that's kind of it. Klay Thompson, he has just, it's sad to watch him at this point. He has, I don't know if it's just rust but he is not the same player. He was 4 for 17 in their last game. And most of them were not tough shots. They were just kind of open shots that he did not make. So the Warriors are a team that I kind of, even though they have some injury value available, they're not a team I have a ton of exposure to. I think DiVincenzo is their best play, then probably Draymond at 6K. That's basically where I'm at the moment.
All right, we got a projections update 1 minute ago for the player projections, which of course means the ownership projections will be following shortly, and then that will flow through the boom bust tool to get you all the leverage. I see someone asking in chat, is there a coupon code to get all of this NBA stuff? Why, yes, there is. For anyone who is not yet a Stokastic subscriber, you can go through the link in the YouTube description below us here, and you can get a 3-day trial period for all NBA DFS content.
I do that Bet MGM thing.
Well, we'll talk about that because they're going to get you 2 months, not just 3 days, but 2 months. But you got a 2 months plus 3 days. We're going to hook you up here. That would be like, what, 63 or so days of free Stokastic NBA. You've got, what do we have on the cool side of things? Well, you get the risk-free trial brings you the ownership, the player projections, the 1v1 tool, the lineup generator, which is just, they're making a lot of bells and whistles on that now, all the top stacks tool, all that fun stuff. You can join in the community, give everything a test drive here. It's no risk. You just come on in. If you don't like it, as Lofty says, hey, at the end of it, we'll refund your misery, which is going to be absolutely nothing. We may send you a few emails saying, hey, we've got some new deals for you. But even those aren't pesky. I'm on those email lists. I get about one a week from us. So I get like multiple from Subway and all these pizza places in the same day. So we're pretty benign when it comes to that stuff. So check that out. A lot of fun here at Stokastic behind the paywall. Hey, how do you feel about Pascal Siakam tonight? I'm doing one lineup on Yahoo. He's going to be in it. I really like the way he looks today. He has over his last 10 games, that would be a nice sample size. He's averaging 35 and a half minutes, 17.7 field goal attempts. That works out to 23.6 points, 7.5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1.5 combined blocks and steals. And in 3 of these games, he's had more than 50 fantasy points. We are projecting him for 50 fantasy points today. Oh my. Is that a bit lofty, or are you feeling good about?
I think 50 is a reasonable projection for him. The problem is that we kind of need more than 50 now at 10,200. I certainly have no problem with playing him. He does have a positive leverage score in the boom bust tool. I think that's, always a good thing to be looking for. But 10-2 is probably about right in my eyes for Siakam. Like, I don't think that it's a massive value or anything like that.
All right. How are you feeling about Fred Van Elite? I cannot talk about him rationally. He almost made my Yahoo lineup. Didn't quite get there. I ended up going with who was it? Their second year guy, the forward, Scotty Barnes. I needed a forward. I had plenty of guard options, so I went the Scotty Barnes route. They got a lot of good passers here in this lineup between Van Vliet, Siakam, and Scotty Barnes. How are you feeling about Barnes and Mr. Elite?
I would take Fred in that pairing. I just think that with Gary Trent out of the lineup, a little bit more usage for Fred Van Vliet. I mean, he's really been playing excellent. His past few games, he's had 39 points in both of them. The usage rate is up over 31% in both of them. I think he sees the biggest boost from a usage perspective with Trent out of the lineup. So I would give him the slight edge. I don't have a huge issue with Scotty Barnes either. And, if you need a forward, I think that's totally acceptable. That's the best part about Toronto, right? We know that their top guys are going to get run into oblivion because that's just what Nick Nurse does. So they played an 8-man rotation in their last game. That might be a little bit steeper in this upcoming game, but you can count on all of their top guys to get just tons and tons of playing time. So you're never going to get too much pushback from me for wanting to play someone on Toronto.
All right. Chat says, did we even finish talking about the Philly game? I don't know. That game's going to be tomorrow. So we're going to focus our crystal ball on the next wave of games, not that second set of waves coming towards us on that one. All right. Is there's some decent mixing and matching in here. A couple of the sites did a reasonable job pricing or slightly bumping up the price for, in particular, Jordan Poole, but some of these other options here. I'm rolling with a Dante DiVincenzo at $16 on Yahoo, a little higher than I wanted to pay, but I think he's going to be in the mix for a couple dozen, if not 30 fantasy points potentially in this matchup. That would probably be like a 70th percentile outcome, maybe an 80th percentile outcome, but I do think it's in play for this one. Of course, I could look up and see getting 1 point per fantasy dollar from him as well if his shot is not falling and end up with 16 fantasy points, which would not be good. Do you feel there's any traps in this game here?
So I think that if there is a trap, it's probably Juancho Hernan-Gomez, right? Okay. He moved into the starting lineup in their last game and he played nearly 41 minutes. He didn't do very much with those minutes. He only had 17 and a half DraftKings points, but if you think he's going to play that much again, he's pretty tough to avoid at 3,600. That said, we have the minutes split much more evenly between him and like Thad Young tonight. So I think that if you give Thad some of those minutes, it does make Juancho a candidate to be a little bit overowned. I think his ownership's not popping in the boom bust tool. We have him right now at about 15% ownership. I would be surprised if he comes in that low. I'll take the over on that number.
But they're just topping it. Did we get some news? Because they just put out another lineup projection. No other news for today. Okay. I don't think Josh Green is really driving this. So let's go back to the old run sheet here and see what we got next. Ooh, Brooklyn at Detroit. Intriguing matchup here. Brooklyn favored by 8 on the road. Detroit seemingly has most everybody, well, at least everybody that they're going to have for the time being. Cade Cunningham, of course, out for the remainder of the season with a shin injury. We have Patty Mills, who's dealing with an illness. He's not going to play for Brooklyn, but they kind of have everybody else as well. Makes things a little tough for Detroit. So the interesting thing about Detroit is because everybody's been relatively healthy and they have not been playing tanking games that much, everybody's prices started to come down a little bit because they seem to have a set rotation. Fingers crossed, maybe in the next 45 minutes, somebody gets a little rumbly in their tumbly and decides to sit out of this game. So whomever that would create some value for us here on Detroit. Otherwise, we're really just looking at Boyan. Maybe you could go with Bagley. They're just not particularly exciting. But
I think Jalen Duren is exciting.
Okay, Jalen Duren, who is in he's $13 on Yahoo. He's in my Yahoo lineup, but he's had a couple 30 fantasy point games. Let's start. We're going to skip Brooklyn for a second. Can he continue? I was doing a little game log watching and surprised because I clicked on him and I'm like, well, I could just put Thomas Bryant in there. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should keep Duren in here.
So I think that the rebounding numbers for Duren are very legit. His rebounding rate since he has entered the starting lineup is one of the best marks in basketball, 21.8% rebound rate as a member of the starting unit. So I think he is very much live for double-digit boards in every start, especially against a Brooklyn team that doesn't rebound the ball well. So I really like Duren's prospects on the glass tonight. The scoring aspect, I think, is going to be a bit more volatile night tonight, right? Like, he'll have some single-digit scoring games. He'll have some double-digit scoring games, but he's still priced at a point where that's not a killer, right? If he gets 5 points and 12 rebounds tonight, we'll take that at 4,800. And if he doubles, then we're talking, 30-plus points again, and he stands out as a really nice value. All
right. Anybody else from Detroit with assuming that everybody's full health? How are you feeling about the up there now, Bojan Bogdanovic, 20.5 points as this player prop. Eric Lindquist has single-handedly moved the market up about 2 points.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit too expensive for me at 6,600. He has been playing very good basketball. I think he's going to be playing for someone else in the not so distant future. And he can help somebody, right? He can knock down shots, but I think for the most part, he's going to be playing around 30 minutes a night as long as he's with the Pistons. And it's tough for me to get behind him with that kind of playing time limitation, right? Like, I don't think he's a guy that's going to be playing 36 to 38 minutes. And he's roughly like a point per minute type of guy. So I don't see a ton of upside with him at this price tag. I think for me, like with the Pistons, it's pretty much it's Duren. I have some Alec Burks at 4,700, and maybe a little bit of Jaden Ivey, but that's about it.
All right, moving on to the Brooklyn side of things here. They too are relatively healthy at the moment. Over on FanDuel, we're looking at Royce O'Neal is eligible for both forward positions at 4,900. He is the most popular player, coming in about 30%. Nick Claxton, center only. We're kind of choosing between him. We'll want to play Pascal Siakam at power forward. He does have center eligibility on both sides, power forward eligibility on both the main sides. But Nick Claxton, an intriguing option there, but it's kind of hard to know with both he and Simmons healthy. It all depends on what are they going to be doing with the closing rotation. Claxton's really been getting there, but not playing more than 27 minutes per game over the last 3. That's a little dicey. When he missed his last shot 3 games ago. So 6 blocks, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, a steal in each of those games. And he's gone 15 for 18 from the field, doing some quick math here. Wow. That's what we call unsustainable in 27.2 minutes per game. So I'm a little nervous about him. In this one, he's a neutral play, sort of a mix and match option, but you're gonna want to look to Thomas Bryant. Spoiler alert, we're gonna talk about him when we get there. You're gonna want to potentially go to Jokic, but Claxton I think is kind of falling out. Is there anybody that's popping for you, FanDuel? And I threw the question and now I'm pulling it back. I'm just looking here. It looks like nobody is particularly exciting here on DK. Nobody's over 9% on DK. Oh, Irving's at 11. So
yeah. I do like the studs in this game for the Nets. I like KD and I like Kyrie as contrarian pay up options. Detroit, one of the worst defensive teams in the league, if not the worst defensive team in the league. I think Brooklyn has a ton of scoring potential in this matchup. KD shredded the Pistons last year, and that was when they had Jeremy Grant to defend him. I don't think they have anybody of that caliber anymore. So I think KD, particularly, like, he is overpriced. There's no doubt about it. I wouldn't be playing him in cash games or anything like that, but a 5% owned Kevin Durant, I'm definitely going to be overweight on that.
All right, we did get news, and we'll break it down when we get there. But Rudy Gobert out for a second game.
That's a big piece of news.
Yeah, so now we got Naz Reid coming into the mix. It seems like my Yahoo lineup's going to end up being rebuilt at this point because it's going to shake everything up. It looked so pretty 15 minutes ago. Now, well, looks like I'm going back to the drawing board on a lot of these. Yeah, just mixing and matching from this one. It's hard to really put key players in here, but the lack of defense always does lead to potential opportunities. We just have some better value options, some better pace things as well coming up. Speaking of which, the next one is Chicago at Minnesota. Chicago favored by a bucket here. We mentioned Rudy Gobert is out. D'Angelo Russell is questionable. He has missed, let me get to my notes here. Russell has missed the last 2 games. This will be the second game Gobert has missed. So if Russell misses, it'll be his third. This team does play tomorrow against Dallas. On the Chicago side, mostly healthy, aside from Lonzo Ball, of course, but they are Javonte Green was questionable. I think he's still questionable. That's really not going to move the needle a ton here, but the D'Angelo Russell does open up some backcourt things. Of course, Karl Anthony Towns leaves a big hole in the offense, and it's Naz Reid time. It's Naz Reid time. Let's tease Naz Reid just a little bit. Start us off with the Bulls here. Anything from the Windy City?
It's not a team that I think you need to have a ton of exposure to on this slate. Zach LaVine is in a decent buy low spot. He's 7K on DraftKings. I think that's a solid price tag for him. LaVine is, the Bulls' sort of primary 3-point shooter. And that's been a big weakness for the Timberwolves this season, defending the 3-point line. So I think it's a decent spot for LaVine to try and buy low on him. Maybe you take a shot with a guy like Patrick Williams or Alex Caruso for value. But now that we have some even more value with this Naz Reid situation, I don't think that either of those guys is like a very high priority target for me.
I'm rerunning my Yahoo lineup just to see now what happens. Yeah, it's Naz Reid is now he's going to supplant Jalen Duran. Thomas Bryant's still in. That's pretty much everybody, but Zach LaVine is making it in. So I'm gonna have to do a little decision here between Zach and Jamal Murray if Murray is in. So I'll ponder that. You may get a question about that a little later in the show from some chat. It'll be from Chatty Me. When we look at Chicago, they're aside from their sort of their main core players, you can't trust. What's a better way of saying? You can't trust anybody from their bench. They have a lot of capable players, but it's very situational between, if it's going to be what's going on with Drummond, what are they doing? I mean, obviously, Alex Caruso is pretty good perimeter defender, but he's in there. But then they got Desumio in there. You've got Kobe White. They have plenty of options, which makes it a little tricky. The other thing that is hard to tell is who's going to have the best game because they're, Durant, DeMar DeRozan, and Vooch and Zach are all capable scorers. And if one of them has the hot hand, we've seen them and we saw it last year too. They defer, right? They're kind of in this, team concept, right? We'd like to make the postseason and do something. So whoever's got they all got their contracts. So they're not as worried about the stats, right? They're trying to do whatever they can for wins. It makes it a little tougher for DFS. Any final thoughts on Chicago and then take us through the Naz Reid news?
Yeah. I mean, again, I would just break ties between the studs with LaVine because of the perimeter aspect and the fact that he's priced down. Vooch for me is not in play now, especially with Naz Reid. Center is just a spot where you need to be paying down for someone, if not multiple options. That kind of just removes Vooch from the equation. And I think that the matchup suits LaVine better than it does DeRozan.
All right. I see chat questioning the value. Value may not be the best play. The opportunity is going to be tremendous here for Naz Reid, but at 6,000 on FanDuel, not an absolute smash by any stretch, but
I think so.
It's in the decision point, right? If he gets 30 fantasy points, and we're projecting him for 35, if he gets 30, he's not going to kill you. And we watched him in the last game drop 52 fantasy points. Not that that's any indicator of sustainable success, but he had 28 points and 9 rebounds. He's probably going to get double-digit shots. He'll probably make about 70% of them. He's probably going to flirt with double-digit rebounds. So I don't know.
I don't necessarily think. I mean, 52 is on the high end of what you can imagine.
Yeah,
but I think 30 is basically this guy's floor, right?
Okay.
As long as he doesn't get into foul trouble, which is always the big if, but he's averaged 1.18 DraftKings points per minute this year. On FanDuel, he's probably averaging close to that, if not more. He's a really good per minute producer, right? And he played 36 and a half minutes in their last game. I mean, at 4,600, he is a absolute lock button play on DraftKings. If you want to tell me that you're considering going in a different direction on FanDuel, I won't fight you too much, but I think he strongly deserves consideration on FanDuel as well. I think when my projections are done being updated, I'll have him at over 40 projected fantasy points for sure.
So just for perspective on his per 36 foul numbers, right now he's averaging 5.1. That's his career rate. That's what he averaged last year, 77 games, including 6 starts. It's up a tick from where it was in his sophomore campaign when he was at 4.8. And then his rookie campaign, he played in 30 games, started 11, but he fouled out if he played 36 minutes. He averaged 6.0 per 36. This is not quite Hack Jackson. Remember Jaren Jackson Jr. from a couple years ago? but there is risk. So
Yep.
not to dismiss this by any stretch. Then your question sort of becomes, all right, well, what is he going to do? Is it going to be an issue against Vooch? Well, Vooch is all, he's running around towards the perimeter a lot, but Nas can get ticky-tack fouls. There's plenty of ways he can find his way to foul. So that's a good call out there. There is risk associated with it. He's not quite the amazing cheap play that he was, but I think he's a very strong option tonight across all sides. I will be playing him in my Yahoo lineup.
Yep. And again, DraftKings 4,600, that's lock button territory.
Yeah. And the other thing to mention on those two sites, you can play up to two centers, right? Because Thomas Bryant's going to be my other one. Now I got to figure out, well, how the hell am I going to play Nikola Jokic? Because I'd like to play him as well, too. Thank you, Pascal Siakam, for being power forward eligible. That's something that's nice for us. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see. All right. Break out the rest of it. Do you think, what's your lean on Russell? Do you think he's going to give it a go?
My thought would be on the front end of a back-to-back, they probably exercise caution with him. But I think the fact that they've ruled out Gobert and haven't ruled out him does mean that there's a chance, right? Like I think they're still thinking about it for sure. I am preparing though, as though he's not going to be in the lineup. And that makes the rest of this team obviously very appealing as well, particularly Jalen Noel, who didn't start in their last game, but he played 34 minutes off the bench roughly, and has averaged more than a fantasy point per minute this year. Like, he would be another guy that is very hard to avoid if Russell is going to be out of the lineup. I think Anthony Edwards gets a significant bump. He didn't necessarily see as much usage as you would have imagined in his last game without Russell, but 11 boards and 7 dimes. I think the peripheral bump would be legitimate with him. So yeah, I think he would enter stud territory as well at 9K. But Naz Reid, Jalen Noel, among the best value plays on the slate. Anthony Edwards, good stud. Kyle Anderson and Jaden McDaniels would have some appeal as well. But yeah, Reid and Noel are really the guys for me.
All right, we are at the halfway point here. We still got 2 games to go. Let's talk a little No House Advantage because they have overlay tonight. They're also going to have overlay tomorrow. They're going to have overlay for NFL tonight. They're going to have overlay again all day tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Why is that? Well, that's their little marketing gambit here. So if you're going through the link below us here, you can join No House Advantage and your first deposit will be matched up to $50. That's a great deal. You want to use these offers wherever they are. Now you're rolling with $100. If you do that, you've got some choices here. They have 2 different game formats. They have versus the house, which is their player prop wagers. You pick out a player card of up to 5 different props. You got to get the question right, the answer right across the board, but you can get up to 21 times your entry on a 5x on a 5x5. So that is the highest payout in the industry. Now, these are dynamic props. They'll move like the sports books moves. There are other games. This is no house advantage. We're not playing the house. We're going against other gamers. So the prop lines in that contest are like salaries. They're released when they create the contest and they don't move. And what you do is you pick in today's formats, you get 10 questions and you choose amongst all of the different offerings that they have and you rank them for confidence points 10 through 1 and you pick over or under on whichever of the player props that you choose. When you get that right, those points become yours. That's how you score against the other players. So it once you see it, if you've done anything with confidence points, but like, oh, this makes sense. Sometimes people get a little try to get a little cute. You play a player that doesn't play, you don't get any points. So don't pick the unders on someone who's going to be out. That's a bad idea. But think of these props as salaries, right? Once sites release salaries, they don't change them for news. This is their version of the salary. So don't get those 2 formats confused. But check it out. And again, $50 deposit match by coming in through the link in the description below us. Game number 4 here, the Charlotte Hornets, 9-point dogs on the road in Denver. Darius Smith Jr. is out for an 11th straight game dealing with an ankle issue. We have Charlotte going to Sacramento tomorrow, so it's a front end of a back-to-back for them. Denver looks like Michael Porter Jr. is out for an 11th straight game, probably going to miss a couple more with his Achilles issue. We know the rules of the Porter Juniors. Only one can be healthy at any given time. It's true. It's absolutely true. Go back and look. This is as soon as Otto Porter's ready to return.
Have we ever seen them in the same room together?
How do you have three people with the last name Porter Jr. and they're not related? But I love that joke. Because they're named after their dads and they're not really the same last. Okay. Sorry.
We get it.
Explaining that for the people are like, what are you talking about? Duh. Okay. Dad jokes. Next level. If I had kids, my dad jokes power would be off the charts. It'd
be too much, to be honest. We wouldn't be able to survive.
Let's just not worry about that. So Jokic, kind of amazing. We know what we're getting here in his last 12 games, also coinciding with the absence of Porter Jr. He's averaging 34.3 minutes, 28.9 points, 11.2 rebounds, 9.1 assists. That's almost a triple double, 2.3 combined blocks and steals. Not only do the Hornets give up a bunch of rebounds and are they crappy against the post, they literally have nobody that can guard or even slow down the two-time MVP here. What? We're worried about blowout risk? Let's not worry about that this year after we saw a shorthanded Brooklyn team win on the road, after we saw an incredibly short, with no star power, Thunder team gobsmack Memphis last night. Let's not worry about that. Why are we not going to worry about that? Because Jokic has the capability of putting up a triple-double in under 28 minutes. I can't remember if it's him or Doncic that has the record now, but they've both done sub 26, I think, minute triple doubles. It's wild.
I thought Jokic might have done it in sub 20, to be honest.
I'll look that up next here while you're doing this. But take us through the Hornets. We've got Ball back. We've got Scary Terry. They're just going to play all the minutes they can handle. Ball's been back for 2 minutes. No minutes limit on him. Can he continue to average 13 3-pointers a game like he has in the last two? I don't know. Why not? Let's see. But take us through the backcourt there, and I'll find the answer to the fastest triple-double. I'm
a fan of Melo on this slate at 8,500. We now kind of have just like an unlimited source of value with the Minnesota news. Well, I guess we're technically still waiting on Russell, but between Naz Reid and Thomas Bryant, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup on DraftKings. So that's the biggest knock for me in the Jokic conversation. It's just he's just only a center. It's very tough to play him over the two best value plays on the slate. So maybe that increases Jokic's appeal in tournaments, but for me, it's just too tough to pass up on the value centers tonight. So for Charlotte, like LaMelo, I think he fits that type of roster construction where you're saving with the centers and then you're paying up at some of the other spots. I think Melo is kind of ideal for that kind of build. And he's really the only guy on the Hornets, I think, that I have in my player pool at the moment. Terry Rozier's fine, but he's not the same type of usage player with LaMelo back in the lineup. Now that Gordon Hayward is back too, it's kind of cut into PJ Washington, his value a little bit. So for me, it's basically LaMelo only.
14 minutes, 33 seconds.
For Jokic or Doncic?
For Jokic's triple-double. Beat the prior record of 17 minutes set in no seconds, because, why would we have seconds back in 1955? But that was Jim Tucker who had that. Doncic has this. Oh, he was the second fastest to 50 triple-doubles.
Okay.
I don't see. I'm just doing a quick word search, so I don't see his. But wow, 14 minutes. I was selling him short by about 12 minutes. So.
He really is just an incredible basketball player. I know that there are some people out there that don't think he deserved the MVP award last year. Those people are wrong and they're crazy in my opinion. But it's just, I don't know if we've ever seen anyone like him, and I don't know if we ever will.
That's just absolutely wild. The only other thing that is more mind-boggling to me is that in just 65 games, Russell Westbrook is the Washington Wizards all-time leader in triple doubles.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty well. That's just crazy. Okay. Back to our questions at hand. Gordon Hayward returned. That, of course, is going to pinch the potential of. It doesn't really reduce the upside of PJ Washington and Kelly Oubre. It just limits the probability that they'll get there with them sharing minutes with Gordon Hayward. Mason Plumlee, decent on the night slate, but of course that's the 2-gamer. So, but we're looking at Jokic, we're looking at Thomas Bryant, and probably Plumlee would be your pivot away from Thomas Bryant if you wanted to go that route. Former Nugget, right? Revenge. Mason Plumlee, God, he's played for like a million teams, hasn't he?
He can't be mad at anybody. He's still in the league. He should be happy. That's all he should care about.
Yeah. There's no malice in his heart. On the other side here, Jamal Murray looks like he's going to play. He's interesting on Yahoo. He's $25 or $26 there. Aaron Gordon has been pretty good as well. And then just kind of mixing and matching, probably Bones Highland, Bruce Brown Jr., and afterthought, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. KCP's better in the late slate, not really on the 5-gamer, but he'll be in the mix there. What do you want to talk through here on Denver? Other than we can just we can talk about Jokic for the next 23 minutes. It wouldn't bother me.
I do want to talk a little bit about Bones Highland. We've kind of been seeing him trending in the right direction from a minutes perspective. But then in their last game, he dipped off to just 15 minutes played. I'm willing to give him sort of the benefit of the doubt on that. I think he can get back into that mid-20s range tonight. That game against the Lakers was a little bit of a blowout. So that I think impacted his minutes. But we know that Bones is a tremendous per minute producer. His price tag has come down. He's $5,100 on DraftKings. He's also very reasonably priced on FanDuel. I think that this is a decent spot to go back to him. You don't necessarily need him if you're playing the value centers, but if you wanted to make a Jokic team, I think that Bones would be an interesting sort of player to pair with him.
All right. Ryan Nelson with the super chat here. He says 38% three-point shooter taking 13 threes per game would make Ball one of the best offensive players in the league.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to make as many of them as he's made recently, right? He's made 12 out of 26 over his 2 games back. I don't know if that's necessarily going to continue, but like what else does Charlotte have going for them? Let him shoot at 23s if he wants, they have nothing else going on.
I just want to look here. So his career rate is 38%. So good call out there. What is that? Let me do some math here for a second. Like 12 points per game off 3-pointers if he's taking 13 and converting almost 40% of them. I think fraction's not my strong suit.
I feel like that meme of Zach Galifianakis when he's at the blackjack table. Like the numbers are just running through my head right now, and I have no idea. I can't do 40% of 13 in my head, and I'm sorry if that lets you down.
Well, you take the 13 times 0.4, and that gets you what 4 points.
So the way I would do it is 10% of
gets you 5.
10% of 13 is 1.3. 1.3 times 4 is 5.2. So 5.2 made 3-pointers per game, roughly.
Yes. There we go. I have Ico running through my head. Because I think that's what they used in this scene. I don't remember now for sure. All right. I think that's going to kind of wrap up this game per se. Any other thoughts you want to put on this one? Because we got a lot to unpack in our next one.
Yeah. Murray is fine. KCP is fine. Aaron Gordon, Bruce Brown, like they all stand out as like neutral options for me. So they'll be in my player pool. I'll have maybe, 10-ish, 15% of most of those guys, but like Bones is really the only guy that I think I will have more than like 20% of on Denver.
I like lazy mofo. This is an excellent point. 52 cards in a deck, 13 pursuit. Basically saying we should know these numbers better. I never played poker, but I think you're correct there, lazy mofo. I'm just the lazy mofo in this one because I see what I did. Yeah.
I play cards all the time, so I should have thought of that, but I didn't.
What else do we have going on here? Well, we talked a little bit about No House Advantage and how you could get 30 free days of Stokastic premium. $50 deposit match there. We talked about BetMGM and how you could get a risk-free $1,000 bet. That's a risk-free bet up to $1,000. It's your first wager. I placed mine today. It's live right now. Fingers crossed. $1,000 is a lot of money to look there when I usually bet 10 or 20 bucks on my wagers here. So yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know how that works out. But it was a nice thing. So you sign into your Stokastic account. You don't have to have a subscription. You have to have a Stokastic account. You click on the link that's below us here in the description, and that will take you over, and it'll come in with our promo code. You can see it'll say Stokastic in the URL. That'll take you over to BetMGM. Then you create your account, you put in your deposit. Whatever your first bet is, that's going to be a risk-free bet. You got to put in at least 10 bucks. You can put in you can put in whatever you want, but the risk-free bet's going to be up to 1,000. And then that first bet is the risk-free one. So if you lose, you'll get a series of free bets. I think you get 7 days to use them. I think if my bet doesn't come through, I think I get 5 $200 free bets. If you only want to put in 100, that's fine. You want to put in 200, that's fine. You want to put in 10, that's fine. The real thing you want to get is those 2 free months of Stokastic Premium. What you do as soon as you make your bet and it settles, they will do a little pop-up screen, and it will show you the code that you can use to sign up for 2 free months of Stokastic. So I did all those steps. I thought it was going to wait for the bet to settle. It says it will wait for it to settle, but it gave me mine right away. But I didn't put the bet in.
Do you want to share what your wager was?
I'm a little scared. I took the under. I live bet the under at 45.5 of New England and Las Vegas. It's 3-17 at the half.
Okay.
The Raiders snuck in a touchdown somehow there at the end.
Well,
with 4 seconds left, they scored a touchdown. Right?
I may not be a mathematician, but half of 45, you're still on track there. So
cool. At minus 125, so it would be an $800.
Okay. Well, good luck, sir. So
we'll see. I have to watch that at the end of the show here because fingers crossed. Daddy needs a new pair of shoes here. So we've got those things. We'll talk about the lineup generator in a second here because I will do a little quick screen share. But let's hit on this Lakers game. So the big news, obviously, Anthony Davis out with a foot injury. He's going to miss at least a month. It sounds like. Wouldn't shock me if he doesn't come back till after the All-Star break. Okay, they've said late January, but it's Anthony Davis, and these giant folks have a lot of moving parts. So when something is off, it really screws them up. So he's out. You have Thomas Bryant, Laker to the Wizards, back to the Lakers. So he gets a remember me game. You've got Troy Brown Jr., former Wizard, remember me game. Russell Westbrook, I kind of hope he still comes off the bench, but he's live for a triple-double. LeBron looking good. I was able to get a 5 assist prop on him. It's moved up to 5.5, but we're projected. Last I looked, we were projecting him for like 6.3. I think that's a little bit low. LeBron's assist rate doesn't change without Davis, but the ball is in his hands on even more possessions. So he's, I'm hoping Westbrook comes off the bench. They'll play a lot together, obviously, but I think they're just going to put Bryant in the starting lineup would be my guess in this one. We might get Bradley Beal back. We don't have that news yet, do we? He's missed 6 games with a hamstring. So even if we get him back, I don't know that we'll see Rust, not full minutes. You still got Rui Hachimura. He's been out for like 10 games. Patrick Beverly downgraded to doubtful. DeLon Wright, who is he even with the Wizards? Yeah, I think he played in 5 games this season. Wenyen Gabriel is out. So where do you think all this production goes? Let's start off with the Lakers. 1, LeBron, probably your top 3 play. Bryant, strong option, good counter move here to Naz Reid. I think you play both of them in most of your lineups. Who else is going to benefit here? Westbrook off the bench. He's had 2 triple doubles in his last 4 games. including when Davis went out. That's in play tonight. What do you want to do with the Lakers? Because this late night hammer is going to be bringing all the fantasy goodness from their team.
Yeah. So let's talk about Westbrook, right? He's gotten pretty well ridiculed on social media since coming to LA. And I think that could make him under-owned tonight. Right,
I believe I actually called him Westbrick on Twitter Friday nights. So
I mean, I know I have. So, but we can't let our reality perceptions impact our fantasy lineups. And Westbrook is still getting it done from a fantasy perspective. He's at 1.34 DraftKings points per minute over the past month. He's had 53 plus in back-to-back games. I think that, as long as this game is competitive, and I have no reason to think that it wouldn't be, Westbrook's going to play 30 plus minutes tonight. And that makes him a really strong option at 7,200 on DraftKings. Everybody on the Lakers is underpriced on DraftKings tonight. So LeBron is 10K. Westbrook is 7,200. Thomas Bryant is 4K. All those guys are a little bit more expensive on FanDuel. I still think you play them all there too, but this team is very tough to avoid with their current price tags on DK.
I concur. Here's my challenge. I need to find $3 of savings or I can't play Russell Westbrook. I think so. Here's the question.
Okay.
Westbrook, Jamal Murray, or Zach LaVine?
I definitely want Westbrook if I can make that work.
I want to keep Pascal Siakam. I want to keep LeBron. I got to go with Nas. Basically, I upgraded my last lineup from Jalen Duran to Nas Reed.
Okay.
So maybe I reduce Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes would become Bojan Bogdanovic. I'd rather have Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
I could go
Where do you
down
have
from
Pascal's at power forward.
Pascal's at power forward. I can't. No, that's not going to get me enough. But I can go. I got to keep Jalen Noel in there. I think it's Dante DiVincenzo. I downgrade. As much as I would dislike that. And chat, don't worry, we'll get to all your questions here. We'll just talk about the lineup generally. We got 12 minutes left, but here's a fun little exercise. Alec Burks, Austin Rivers, Austin Reeves.
Alec. So I'm sorry, which spot is this at? This is at point.
I'm going to guard. So
Okay.
I've moved Westbrook in. I've got Westbrook and Jalen Noel. So I've got
Gotcha.
$13 for a guard. Burks is 13. I don't want to play Austin Rivers. He's just.
And you said you already have Noel?
I've got Noel. Shit, I think I go with Austin Rivers. It buys me a little time.
I take Burks. I take Burks over Rivers.
You would take Burks? Because I was going to
Yes.
say I could go Austin Rivers. And this is a good thought exercise. I could take Rivers, and if Russell plays, I could still bail to Austin Reeves.
Yes. Okay. So, right. I guess that's the big thing. If Russell's out, then you play Rivers.
Yep.
If Russell's in, then you pivot to
I go to
Reeves or
just
whatever.
Don't worry about it.
I think that's the way to go, EMac.
All right. I think that hits most of the Lakers. The second, Brian obviously stepping into a lot of role. There's going to be trickle down effect for their other wings, but this is a mix and match situation. On the other side, if Bradley Beal is in, we've got Monte Morris back. You got kind of everybody healthy at this point. There's nobody really exciting. I mean, Porzingis is fine, but he's a little expensive. Kuzma, fine. Oh, revenge going the other way. Remember me, as I like to say, he's fine. But if Beal comes back, then Beal's going to take 17 shots. It's coming from those guys, which makes it a little harder to sustain what their new salary is after the last 6 games. So really nothing. The Wizards aren't bad plays because these teams are like bottom 4 in defense, top 10 in pace over the last, I think it's 8 games, an arbitrary sample size there. But the Wizards defense has been getting worse after it got so much better. After it got from the dregs to league average last year, they're going back to the dregs at this point. So that's kind of that game. Do you have FanDuel up? We have a $2 super chat here from Michael McKinney. Would like to know your 5 must plays on FanDuel Cash.
My 5 FanDuel must plays. for cash games. Okay.
So is Naz Reid coming in or not? Because this is going to start the rocks coming at you.
It's very tough because you can only play one center.
You can only play one.
I have Naz Reid right now projected for just over 41 FanDuel points. I have Thomas Bryant projected for 33, 34. So for me, that's easy Naz Reid call. I think that LeBron is a FanDuel must play. LeBron James.
Yes.
I think Kyle Anderson is a FanDuel must play at 5,500.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of it still depends on the Minnesota situation, right? If we're getting more Minnesota value, then like Anthony Edwards would enter that conversation. But for right now, LaMelo would be a cash game type play for me. And Royce O'Neal at 4,900. I think that those are sort of like your best per dollar type values. And then LeBron being the top stud.
Yep. Can you run that back on DK? And then just to answer this question here, someone's asking Goodwin. That would be Goodwin for the Wizards. If Beal comes back, that's really going to hurt Goodwin. It's going to hurt Corey Kispert as well. But Monte Morris returning or being, more healthy than he has been has kind of put a damper on those guys. Kispert, I think, loses the most value because he's really only there for kind of scoring. Goodwin would still be able to come off the bench and that's what he's been doing, but he's
just too pricey now.
I don't have his box score up, but I think he's been getting there on steals in like 27 minutes per game and 2 or 3 steals. So it's like,
his last 2 games, he hasn't gotten there and he's played 20 and 17 minutes.
Okay.
So he's very tough to pay over 5K for. The Wizards, if Beal is back, are a team that I think you can honestly just kind of avoid. Everybody's priced up. The stars are priced up. The role players are priced up. If they're healthy, it's hard for me to envision any of those guys really having a huge value performance. Maybe with the exception of Denny Avdia. He's kind of the one guy that I think I like the most still, but even he is approaching too expensive. So I think the Wizards for me are a pass if Beal is healthy. If he's out, then you can circle back and play some of the same guys you've been playing. Kuzma, Porzingis for me is a no, just because he's center only today and he's like the 9th best center play maybe. And then Avdia and Monty Morris, I think.
How much LeBron and Bryant and Westbrook are you putting in your lineups? You kind of are they core plays at this point?
Core plays. Are we talking DraftKings or FanDuel?
DraftKings.
Yeah. So LeBron for me on FanDuel is going to be 60+%. Westbrook I have right around 45%. Okay. And Bryant I have also in 50 to 60%.
Crazy times.
Yeah. And Naz Reid I have in literally 100. So
I think that's the route we need to go on DK. I don't see a reason to not have him in pretty much every lineup. It maths out. And yes, we could go down in flames and we could be very, very sad, but
yeah, I'm literally projecting him for 9.2 points per salary dollar, you know what I'm talking about, points per 1,000. So it's just very hard to get past that kind of production.
Yeah. And I didn't have 100%. I had 90% of him the other night. And we had one other center that got in there from Atlanta, Okongwu.
Right.
Was in there. The Pats scored. That was too quick.
It was a quick one.
Pick 6.
Oh, come on, Derek Carr.
I need running. I need passes over the middle. I need the clock moving.
What a great couple of sports days, though. I gotta say, Like that Colts Vikings game was just so insanely entertaining. It wasn't the greatest caliber of football I've ever seen, but so entertaining. And then I'm not like the biggest soccer guy in the world. I do watch it from time to time, but that World Cup game may have been the best sporting experience I've ever watched. It was just pure entertainment.
I would like to second that motion.
Watched.
I would like to second that motion from the producer's seat, Mr. LaMarca. It was incredible.
It had everything. I mean, you had Argentina building the lead, then France with the 1-2 in 2 minutes. The blink of an eye, they tie the game. Then Argentina pulls ahead in extra time, and you think it's over. And, they're literally crying on the sidelines, the Argentina players, because they think they're going to win the World Cup. And then there's a handball, and then you get the penalty shootout, the ultimate drama nut check moment right there. Who wants to step up and be the hero? Like, it's just, I understand why soccer purists don't enjoy a shootout, but man, is it entertaining for a casual fan.
I'm excited just hearing it. I wasn't watching because I was writing.
I
was writing articles. What am I supposed to do here? We got 4 minutes till lock. Super chat here from John Good. Austin Reeves or Lonnie Walker on DK. I don't think we mentioned Lonnie Walker's name. He's one of the guys that gets the trickle down effect there. Do you have
Austin Reeves or Lonnie Walker? I don't have either DK projected as like a particularly strong play, but I would give I have Austin Reeves projected for more fantasy points at the moment.
Why is Derek White coming? Uh-oh. I have 3 minutes left, and somehow I'm getting Boston players in my lineup.
That's a problem.
Why are Brogdon? This is not good. This is bad. This is very bad. Think of how to fix this quickly. I have no idea.
The weed.
Yeah, I need to lay off. This is not. No bueno. No bueno. Panic time. Panic time. We're going to just make 80 lineups. We're going to hope
EMac's doing that.
Those guys don't come in because I don't have time to survive my crunch and get a shitty upload. All right, there we go. Let's just put these teams in. I'm playing 91.9% of Nasri.
Okay. The old foul out. You're giving yourself just a couple of them.
It's just whatever it is. Whatever's going in here is going in here. Let's hit upload. Chat, I know, loves this. Okay, we're in. That was scary. That was scary. Not as scary as my $1,000.
I was going to say, well,
not as scary as my $1,000 bet.
Questions, but there were no questions that I saw. So I said, all right, I'll just do nothing then. But you're right. I did literally stop mid-sentence what I was going to say.
Oh, I literally clicked over to your face, LaMarca, and you just stopped talking. I was like, okay, I guess we're not doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick before we go up there, I just can you do a screen share, producer Tyler, and just let's show the lineup builder real quick for everybody. So this is what you get with the three for any of your premium NBA packages. We also have this for NFL, but we're putting a lot of bells and whistles on this. So if you get that 3 free days, which if you don't have a Stokastic membership, you can go in through the link below us here and get a 3-day all access NBA access trial period there. If you go through BetMGM, you can get 2 months of this. But we go over here to lineup generator. Let's just click on DK main. We'll click on tournaments and let's just do our chalky lineup. So what this does is it's going in and it's building out a whole bunch of lineups based upon the Stokastic projections, ownership, leverage, boom bust tool. All the stuff is baked into this. And then what we're doing now is the latest round of bells and whistles is you can lock in certain players that you want, which is pretty cool. And then what you do is you can build and save up to 20 lineups. So yes, you build these one at a time, but you kind of see what you want. You hit the save button. You hit the save button. You can now see your view saved lineups is 1 of 20. You don't like a lineup, hit the discard button. Click discard a few times until you get something that you like. You can save these lineups and then download those as CSV and upload them into the into your site of choice. We currently support Yahoo, FanDuel, and DraftKings. Question is, Will I get the same lineup as somebody else? No, it's going to be incredibly rare, especially for basketball. And the way we have it set up is we could, the 5 of us plus all 1,000 people in chat watching right now could all hit, chalky lineup, DK, and build lineup. And maybe one person would match with somebody else. It's sort of like the 30 people in a room, somebody's going to share a birthday, right? It's going to be one of those where it's like, it's going to be so rare. It'll happen, but then the other 28 people are like, yeah, whatevs, I don't care. I don't know, nobody shares my birthday, right? It's like, okay, 999 people aren't going to have the same lineup as you. One other person might. So, i.e. like the dupes in a normal contest, right? So that's it's really cool. And you can see up at the top, it gives you the ownership sum. It also gives you the projected points, tells you how much of the salary is used. So you can say, oh, I don't want to use, 50,000. I want something that's not going to be 50,000, and you can discard those lineups and keep what you want. But it's a pretty cool tool. This and the 1v1 tool are some of the nice upgrades we have. We're also building out the Bet Pro package and a bunch of other stuff on the betting side. So for those of you that like, oh, we're not taking care of DFS. Yeah, we are. This is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. So for those of you that don't want to get an optimizer or do all that, you build 5, 10, 15 lineups. Someone like me, when I go play on Yahoo or FanDuel, I build somewhere between 1 and 10 lineups. I use an optimizer just to see what I get, but I'm locking players in, I'm moving them around, I'm doing what I want. I'm not just building out a portfolio like I do on DraftKings. So it's a good tool for that. But there we are. Final thoughts on the night, Mr. LaMarca.
Washington Commanders -4.5.
Really? I was going to say New York Giants +4.5.
I'm due for a loss, EMac, so take that for what it's worth.
You're in New York, I'm in Washington. Why are we recommending
the Giants are the square special tonight. Everybody and their mother likes the Giants.
Oh, do they really?
Yeah, I want to say like 65% of the bets, 80% of the money, something like that. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So I'm leaning towards Washington. New York's just so banged up, but we'll see where it happens.
Well, the squares were all over Cincy today.
It's true. The Sharps.
They were also all over Kansas City, laying 13.5, 14, and trying not to do 14.5. That one didn't work out.
There's a reason that they have all those big, shiny buildings out in Las Vegas,
Indeed. All right. Well, we are going to get on out of here, but in an hour and 11 minutes, you will get NFL Live Before Lock with Eric Lindquist and Neil Orfield right here, brought to you by No House Advantage. You can follow Matt on Twitter over at Matt LaMarca. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.